The first lady's in the building, Miss Mary Almonte. What's going on?
I was really hoping you wouldn't call me first because I was definitely chewing in
I
people's
always
ear.
call you first when
But
you're
what's
here.
up, everyone?
He does.
I
He
was
really
hoping
does.
just this once you wouldn't. But here I am.
We also got the great one, Baylor the Great's in the building. What's going on, Baylor?
Yes, sir.
The hip hop
Hi.
historian Marquis is here.
What's up? What's
And
up?
before we get to the King's Disease review, we got a couple of things to talk about. First off, Kanye still has not dropped Donda, by the way, which was supposed to drop the same day, reportedly as King's Disease too, but it didn't. And he's actually separating himself from the baby. Like, it's been a lot to come with the baby, and just everything going around him seems like a toxic situation. What do you guys think of like Kanye removing himself, distancing himself from the baby, and he has a song with him. Reportedly, it's going to be on Donda. Mario, I'll come to you first on this one.
I mean, I think number one, what else is new with the toxic situation surrounding Kanye? I mean,
Fair
one would
enough.
argue that there's a common denominator here. Um, I'm very indifferent to him separating himself from the baby because Kanye said his share of crazy ish as well. That is somewhat on the same plane as the baby's comments. Dare I remind people about slavery being a choice and other tomfoolery? So
Hmm.
I don't. I just like Kanye could just completely miss me at this point. And I did tune in to the live stream um, of Donda, and I will say it wasn't bad.
Okay.
But yeah, it was all right. Maybe I'm really curious about his strategy, to be honest with you. Like, is this all like what really is the point? Because to live stream it the night before the alleged launch and then not launch, it's like, does he like to
Twice.
just stir the pot, or is there really maybe he live streamed it and saw some feedback that he didn't like and saw things he wanted to tweak based on that? Like, does he actually listen to the fans? Like, I'm curious about all of those things. More
Maybe that's
so
his
than his personal
insecurity.
views. I'm curious about like his tactic with his
That's
music.
fair.
So,
That's fair. I don't know if
yeah.
he has a fucking strategy, to be quite honest. He's been doing this shit since. I, I, I think even My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy had like, it was like delayed a week. So he's had delay issues for every album for like the last 6, 7 years. So I mean, I don't know what that's about. Baylor, what do you think?
I think he is a perfectionist, but I also think he might be. I ain't gonna say might be. I think there's still a high level of insecurity there. So he probably did get some live feedback and didn't like what he seen, or whatever feedback that he got. So he probably it could have been one person,
Mm.
and that'd probably be enough to say, you know what, I want to go back. I didn't like that response. I don't like how it sounds. Even I don't know if it's true or not. If he recorded the whole album with a mask on, I don't know if it's gonna sound too good, but whatever. As far as him hopping on the bandwagon of distancing himself from the baby, it's understandable. At the same time, Styles P went on. He had a good point that I'm rolling with. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I think it is as far as a business move. It is a good reason to separate yourself from him right now because your brand would be attached to him. Um, but again, I think the whole rant that Styles P, I wouldn't even call it a rant. I think it's very truthful what he said. I'm rolling with that as well. So this album, I'm going to say this though, this album it better hold up like King Disease 2 did. If not, I don't know what to
Oh,
say.
that you might as well just not know what to say because there ain't no way. Let me not say there's no way, but I highly doubt that we're gonna get anything the level of King Disease 2 from Kanye West. That's just my personal opinion. I'd be happy to be proven wrong on that, but that's just my personal opinion.
Oh, me too, especially with that lineup that he got. That's why I said, like, King, he Nas set the bar extremely unfair. Unfair.
For sure, Marquis.
Overdue.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about
Yeah.
it.
I think it's a really weird world where Kanye doesn't want to be associated with somebody.
Mm.
I'll just, yeah, that nigga crazy. No, nigga, you crazy. No, something's wrong when when that nigga don't want to be associated with somebody. So, uh, as far as a delay for his album, uh, if he listened to King's Disease, he knows I'm not dropping this Friday. I'm delaying my album.
Wow. So you think King's Disease 2 scared him off?
I don't know if anything would
That's funny.
scare Kanye off, but if something was, it would be this album.
Yeah, especially if he heard it before we
For
did.
sure, for sure. Which is completely possible. We'll get into the Nas album. We'll be doing a full review on it. We'll get into it. But next part of news: Cardi B's delaying her LP due to avoid postpartum depression. What do you think? We rarely really get women in the industry talking about not only postpartum depression, but even what it's like to remain trying to be a performer after having a kid, while being pregnant. So Cardi B coming out about this and trying to avoid postpartum depression is really, I'm surprised it didn't get picked up more and people aren't talking about it more because, I mean, it just really, you don't hear it very often. Marquis, what do you think about it?
Honestly, after Simone Biles, the German gymnastics, basically the Norwegian handballers, not want to play with their ass out. Naomi refusing the press conference. Let's be real. Like these are some real issues. Let's start talking about that. Why are we knocking them for addressing psychological issues and standing up as a woman? Like these are the things that we go through. We should support that. Let's dig in deeper on why we should support them versus why we're not getting an album, because that's real. You know what I mean? Those are psychological issues that women go through that men just don't understand. Forget your record, has to come in, whatever. We need to drop this album. No, what are you going through? How are you going to deal with this? Because you have a child coming. Like that's some real shit. Let's talk about that. So that's how I feel.
For sure. Baylor?
Well, you said it. We're not used to hearing about that, especially with that level of an artist. You know what I mean? So to piggyback off of what Marquis said, these past couple of months, we've been seeing a lot of athletes take care of their mental health, and we're not used to it because now we're starting to see that they were forced to be great. You know what I mean? Or not even. I wouldn't even just say forced. I would say pressured to do something that they love growing up doing, but I don't think we should. I think we should care about it, but we shouldn't care about. You got to put the sport or you got to put the music to the side when it comes to them being a human being. Sometimes, you know what I mean.
Sure.
So I'm not I could wait. Like, bro, we were just blessed. We're gonna get to the topic where we were just blessed. Like, and I'm good enough with that for a minute. So we don't have to rush everybody into being creative and things like that. Let them take some time and let them be human as possible. It's enough that they got to walk around with bodyguards and shit like that all the time. You know what I mean? So sometimes they're a prisoner of their own home.
That's true. Barry, what do you think?
I mean, I think you already know what I think as the resident first lady of the Breaks Radio. I think that bringing a life into this world is a really big deal. It's taxing on the body, it's taxing on the mind, and in ways that, like you guys just acknowledged, men don't understand and could never. So yeah, I think we need to give her grace as she takes all the time that she needs to get back to being herself, right? Like it's a process.
For sure.
So let's respect that, y'all.
That's it.
Yep.
From one woman to another, Rihanna just became the richest female musician in the world. And matter of fact, she's the second richest female in entertainment as a whole, only second to Oprah Winfrey. What do you guys think about Baylor? I'll come to you first in this one. What do you think about the heights that Rihanna's been able to make it without releasing an album in 3-4 years, if not more? What do you think, Baylor?
That's just pure influence. That's all it is. It's just influence. Well, on her part, it's just smart investing and knowing how to move with her brand. But that's pretty damn fast if you really think about it, because Oprah been in the game for a very, very long time, And for her to catch flight up there, up the ladder, it's pretty impressive. But it also show you the days and times that we're in. If you know how to move your brand, hell, Jay-Z did it, Nas did it. You know what I mean? But it was other cats that came before that really had to put a lot of grind and work in. So salute to her, man. It's like excellence right there. I remember when she was back. I remember when she was dancing with the baggy jeans.
Mary.
That Fenty is some real. It's crack. Like makeup, everything. I'm like the perfume sold out in a day. Like recently. So yeah, I mean, love to see it. Like she made some smart investments. She's another one we've been waiting for some music from, but if we, I understand why if we don't get any because she's good. So, yeah, let's all like I think she's a great example for little girls everywhere, honestly.
All right.
So, and everyone everywhere. Let's not make this gender specific.
That's true.
Honestly, it's like she hustled, So,
Yeah. To be I remember when she was the artist that nobody knew about, right? At all. She just kind of popped up on the scene. She was one of Jay-Z's signings when he was president of Def Jam, and to see the heights that she's been able to reach in that amount of time that she has been fucking bananas, and just her growth as an artist too is inspiring. But Marquis, what do you think?
I agree. I think she's been able to use her brand and maximize it. You can't just rely on one thing. Look at Little Nas X. He didn't rely just on music. He took his brand and expanded it. He has one album, a bunch of singles, and he had his whole Satan sneakers and whatever like that. But at the end of the day, you have to diversify your bonds, nigga. Like Wu-Tang Financial. You know what I mean? Like you really need to. You're not going to be an artist or musician for the rest of your life. You're always going to be known as Rihanna, but she's not just known as Rihanna, the girl that Nicki wants to be with a Sri Lankan, but she's known as Rihanna. It's not hot until Rihanna wears it. That's how she's created herself. So now she's a fashion icon. She's when it comes to beauty, when it comes to a scent, she's all that. So it's not just music. So I commend her. You're not going to always get the rights to songs that you haven't even written and make the money out of that, but you're going to get the money from your brand and your image. And this is where it comes to be a college student, the likeness of you. You're going to make money off of your likeness. You might as well do what you can with it, because football may not save you, music may not save you, but if you diversify yourself, you become an icon. And that's what I agree with that 100%. So yeah, I'm proud of her.
There you go. We got one last topic before we get into King's disease, which I know everybody's waiting on. Dr. Dre's daughter and her four kids are homeless. She's come out giving an interview on that. What do you guys think about like the fact that Dr. Dre is currently right now paying $300,000 a month to his ex-wife, but he has homeless children out here and grandchildren? Baylor, this is in your neck of the woods. We coming right to you with this
one. So I recently did an episode about this, and I'm kind of torn because, for one, like I said, at the end of the day, we're not in the huddle, so we don't really know what's going on. We really don't know in details like their relationship. At the same time, from the information that was given to us, the surface information that was given to us, as a father, like if you know your child is out there struggling, that wouldn't sit well with me. You know what I mean? Because by the grace of God, my children grow old. You know what I mean? If my daughter calls me and Dad, I got a flat tire, and she's 47 and she doesn't have any help, I'm getting my old ass up and going to go get my daughter. You know what I mean? At the same time, I don't know the relationship between him and his daughter. I don't know what the payment arrangements were prior to that, and don't know why it stopped, other than he may have been salty about an interview she did. So I don't know. I don't want to sit up here and, for a woman that has been doing DoorDash and says that her and her kids are on hard times, can't say anything about that. And then I don't want to count this man pockets. At the end of the day, he's not me and I'm not him. I just know We got different hearts, and I'm the type of person that even if I didn't have a relationship with that child or whatever the case may be, I might end up doing something to where I might end up doing something to where we won't be in a situation like that. You know, the amount of money that he brings in or the money that he makes it's not it's pocket change for to buy a house even in LA to him. You know what I mean? So again, I don't really know the details. I wasn't in the huddle, but it's still a tough situation all the way around, especially when you know your dad is Dr. Dre.
I don't know whose background it is. Somebody's, it's like a fan or something. Mary, what do you think about this? Mary? I don't know if Mary can hear us. Marquis?
Uh, yeah. So I don't know, man. I'm not gonna take the side of he should step up and be a father because we don't know the full story. But if he wasn't her father, would this be a story?
Mm,
Like we would basically say, as a woman, you have 4 children, you shouldn't be homeless, or what support should go into there? Are we going to basically, because you're Dr. Dre's daughter, you should be on top? Like there's no excuse at this point. You know what I mean? So I don't want to point that at him. But if the story does come out that it is him, you need to take care of your kid. You know what I mean? No matter what, whatever the disagreement is, there's no way a story should come out where your daughter is homeless with 4 kids. So there's two sides to that. I don't want to take a side. It's just there's two narratives that need to be written.
definitely, definitely. I think the biggest thing, like for me, is that even if you don't want to take care of, like they can't come live with you. Like we know Dr. Dre got houses. Like so, that's the thing that stands out to me. Mary, what do you think about the situation?
I mean, what more can I say? It's wild. Like, I don't know. I definitely feel like I'm hoping there's a mix up or, something, but never, ever, ever should you have a child and you're good and they're not. Like, that's just gonna be a no for me, dog. So, yeah.
Definitely.
And the reason I say that, I mean, look at Vanessa Bryant and her mother and the lawsuit. You know what I mean? Like she's suing her for saying that she did all this for the kids. We don't know what happened. Like, why are you suing your daughter? Why is this public? You know what I mean? This happens to be Kobe Bryant's kids. Again, when something goes public, there's a lot more behind it. And I agree with you, Mary. Like, you have to take care of your kids. This shouldn't happen to the point where the public is getting this information where your daughter is homeless with 4 kids. So there's two narratives again. I think needs to be addressed, but I don't want to make comments on something that like the Ti and situation we don't know too much about. If there's so much information coming out, whole different story. Like now we got questions, but I do want to. I hope everything works out. I hope she doesn't remain homeless with 4 kids, but I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And it's weird to switch topics and move on from a subject like that, but we need to, and we came here to review an album from Nas, King's Disease 2. Part of the reason why we're a day late is that we could not review a Nas album without Marquis. And because of that, we got to go to Marquis first. Marquis, this album.
Oh, oh, okay. So forgive me. I'm 5 hours ahead of you guys. I'm in London, and I thought that it was important for me to review this album, and I'll try not to be as long as possible. But I'll say this: The King's Disease, The Cure from Queens. You understand? The Cure is from Queens, The King's Disease. I mean, I think we all underestimated Nas because we're expecting him to drop another Illmatic. 14 albums in, and we get this. The album that followed his first Grammy, King's Disease was dope, but King's Disease 2 was fucking flawless. I'm still listening to this album. I swear to God, Kanye does not need to come out for at least another month. I don't want to hear anything anybody else has to say. I'm not gonna I'm gonna try to spend as little time on this as I can, but I can't say anything bad about this album. I mean, you have 4 decades of hip hop on one album. His biggest curse was his production. Everyone always said, the greatest rapper alive with the poorest production, and somehow he connected with one artist, one musician to make his sound better, like to actually compliment him. I mean, DJ Premier, absolutely. When you have to focus on the lyrics, when it comes to the instruments, where you actually have to just pay attention to the lyrics, that's what Premier does. But for some reason, Hit Boy does it all. He creates the sound. He makes you focus on the lyrics. And to me, Hit Boy to Nas is Danger Mouse to CeeLo. Like, it's a flawless execution. One thing I compliment him on, he didn't play it safe with this album. He straight went in. The last album to me was, I'm going to reintroduce myself to the younger folks, to everybody else, to remind you I'm here. But this album, he was like, you know what? I'm just going to show you all who the fuck I am. Like, it perfect. From Pressure had to be the perfect transition from, KD to KD2. And the change-ups were magnificent, where Hit Boy forces Nas not to be comfortable. Like, his production actually make Nas don't just ride the beat. Nah, you gotta change this shit up. Like, you gotta actually address who the fuck you are and remind people, just because you're Nas and everybody's you're everybody's favorite rapper. Nah, show them why. The older the hip hop historians respect you. I mean, his modern adaptation of the younger generation of modernity, like, basically 40 side, he just taking the new era of hip hop and flipping it. You know what I mean? Even his ad libs, like even the ad libs, it was insane. Rare is the perfect single to intro to this album to me. It was the perfect beat transition. He went from this simple beat and Baylor, I love your video where you highlighted how Rare the change up was magnificent. YKTV, when he said, imagine Lil Uzi on a Primo beat, imagine NAS on a Migos beat. He basically told you, young rappers can't do what I did. You can't focus on your lyrics. But imagine me if I had all this production around me. I can do them both. You know what I mean? EPMD, realistically, M has to be the best at triple entendres that ever existed. But Nas didn't get murdered on his own shit. That was fucking magnificent. Him going down memory lane where he went on the store run. He's basically telling you, I'm the authority of hip hop. It's just from one IPO to the next. One of the greatest lines he said in that, he was like, people battered down, Asian hate getting passed around, Tiger happy, both his parents' lives matter now. Like, yo, think about that shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking magnificent. I don't know. And I know I'm taking a lot of this, but even the Lauren track, oh my God. Oh my God. Everyone expected a hook because that's all she was used for when it comes to a Nas track. You're expecting a perfect hook. Nas, but she picked up the mic for this one. And holy shit. Her coming back and blessing us with her first verse in years, fucking flawless. She said, what was the line she said? I turned the other cheek. I took blow after blow. There's so much crisis in the world because you reap what you sow. When you reap what you know is meant for someone else, the ditch you dig for them, you might end up in yourself. What the fuck? Oh my God. Yo. Again, he's a hopeless romantic. Souflon, he's talking about, want to be in a relationship, but of course he dies in a relationship. Dope. I don't know. To me, I'll say this is the album of the decade. And I say the decade because we just started 2010, 2011. It's 2020, 2021. I don't know any album.
What?
Think about this. I don't know any album better than this to start the decade. That was as flawless as it is. It's effortless. Production-wise, lyrics, like, there's nothing wrong with this album to me. And this has to go in history as one of the greatest albums of all time because this man changed up his flow for the young people and still did it better than they do. I know I went on a lot, but whoever wants to take it from there, go for it.
Damn, that's a lot to take it up from. Baylor, I'm turning it over to you.
Um, I be talking to a lot of cats. I wanted to see a lot of I want to see how a lot of Jay Z fans would react to this and see if they would deny the album. You know what I mean, or pick out something to say it was all right, but it wasn't what y'all making it out to be. Um, and like I said in my rant, like yeah, I am one of those. I am one of those people that say, man, y'all need to chill out on calling things and instincts like that. And that's only the reason why I say that is because sometimes what they be calling an instant classic don't be an instant classic. It just come from classic people. You know what I mean? And classic people don't make classics all the time. Um, but this right here, it just didn't sound good. Like it felt good. You know what I mean? That rare and that beat change to I'm not gonna lie. Like it's not too many songs that I listen to and it make like it warms my blood up. You know what I'm saying? The hair on your arm stick up. When that beat changed and he said we've been doing gangster shit for a long time, like that spoke to me. You know what I mean? My Bible, opening up with Nip, that's powerful. You know, him talking about squashing the beef with Pac, you know what I'm saying? Bringing up Pac name. Um, the Moment track. And what was the other track that I like so much?
All of it.
I mean, of course that, but I have my favorites. I think the one where Hit Boy was rapping on it.
Okay. I forgot the name of that track.
Composure.
Okay.
Composure. That man, that was this is the thing about hip hop in history is that things can't be moved around, and it's just like the cancel culture where people feel like that the classic albums that came before can't be moved or rearranged. I don't think that's true. You know what I mean? And we can be recency bias and things like that. But honestly, when you go back to all the classic albums that you like, they make you feel a certain way.
True.
You know what I mean? And if they were that good, then you will still be going back to them like that, and they still make you feel that way. Nas' last two albums is going to make me feel a certain way. And that's why I'm not afraid to say, yo, yeah, these can bump two albums out of his top five easily, production alone. But, I understand where people will be stuck on whatever they feel his top five albums are. And that's cool because we're Nas fans, but we have different ears when it comes to him. Um, he got it. And I will say this because I want to tie LeBron into this. For a long time, I fought against LeBron. You know what I mean? Until he brought a championship to Cleveland, and I said he did it for his hometown. You know what I mean? That was big. And then I had to say, look, man, this dude is really something special. I'm okay with calling him the greatest of all time. For a long time, I was confused on what Nas, where Nas was going, but that was only because of his production as well. A lot of people like to put Jay-Z at the top because of everything that he's done with his brand outside of hip hop or something that was attached to hip hop. Longevity matters as well, even though we still got a lot of love for Big and Pac, ODB, all the rest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But longevity and to catch the ear, I didn't hear not one negative thing about this album, even from the Jay fans, even from the Drake fans, even from the Ye fans. Those are bars right there. But that speaks volumes though, and I'm okay with rearranging at the end of the day. I'm not saying where I would put him, but I'm okay. Like if someone came to me and said, "Man, Nas is the best ever," I'd be like, "All right, cool, let's roll with it," because I understand where they're coming from. His music feels good. Now he finally has production to match his lyrics, and it's just man, put Nas and Jada in the Bible, and
Mm.
I'm good.
All right. That's high praise. High praise, Mary.
So So when Baylor said that Nas albums kind of bring you back to, or good hip hop albums, right? I think don't let me misquote you, Baylor. Bring you back to a place. For me, this Nas album brought me back to, it really had me feeling nostalgic on a lot of levels, but it brought me back to my favorite Nas album and the emotions I had behind that, and that was Stillmatic. I'm not saying that was his best album, but that for me is my favorite for my own nostalgic reasons and where I was in life and hip hop at the time. Um, just like Marquis, I'm still bumping it like literally every day. I wake up to this album. Um, Nas also really reminded everyone, or maybe introduced some people, right, to who he really is as a storyteller, right? And like some of his stories are fictional, but even the fictional shit is rooted in his truth, right? Like in Moments, which is one of my favorite joints on the track on the project. Um, he kind of started every verse talking about the people, the celebrities he didn't meet that he wished he did. And then it goes off into tangents from there. But it's like there's a formula even when there isn't a formula with him. Like it's crazy. Death Row East, like the fucking confessions that were on that. Like, and it's like people, I feel like this album and most Nas albums, the great ones anyway, are people who don't pay attention to lyrics like it, and then people who do pay attention to lyrics love it, right? Like, and there's just so many gems that were dropped in there, even for me as a chick, right? Like Brunch on Sunday, or what was it? Sunday Brunch? I forgot the exact.
Brunch on
There you
Sunday.
go. I had it right 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like anybody that knows me knows I love me some Sunday brunch. Like I don't want to go to the club on Friday night. I'd rather go on to Sunday brunch. And like he totally captured, exactly. He totally captured the New York experience of Sunday brunch. Like, I don't smoke hookah, but that is a staple in the Sunday brunch culture, and the whole nine. Even about how like new chicks really like to be cash apped and that's their love language, like, or drop a Zelle or something. So like it just is everything. It really is everything. Like I like if you rewind to past episodes when we talked about this album coming out, I was just hoping it wouldn't be whack. And like I'm ecstatic, overjoyed that like this is what it is. So yes, Nas, you've done it. For real.
And what have we been saying this whole time about older artists? What are you going to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
Everything that he talked about was valid.
Yes.
Like he painted a picture.
Yes. And it was like current, but then he dug in the past too. And it was like there really was something for everyone on this album. Like
just when he said people batter down Asian hate getting passed around Tiger Happy, both his parents' lives matter now. Like think about that shit. Like
I think he's listening to the Breaks Radio. That's what I think is happening.
So
no one can get away or do what he does. Like you just said it. That moment, he captures moments in time, and he paints the perfect picture. Even when you rap, this is the first time he rapped with Eminem. Not that he hold his own. He went his own lane. Eminem always going to do his thing. Eminem's always going to do his thing. Eminem's going to take a beat and flip it, and then add so many different type of styles. And I'm going to ask God about this question.
Oh yeah,
as far as how many styles, who's the best, and as far as styles, and I would say Eminem and Busta. There's a real battle there. But like Nas held his own, not just held his own on a remake. What the fuck happened? Like I'm going to get Eminem on this remake track. You know what I'm saying? And then it's fucking insane how you did that. But again, my crowning jewel for having the guest appearance, and he actually brought the best out of Boogie and YG. Like he made them like sound great. You know what I'm saying? And then Lauryn Hill stepped out of her cloud down from heaven to earth to say, "I'm going to bless a Nas track." Like who else could pull this shit off?
So I like the thing to me that let me know just how ageless this album is that I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I did a video with my little sister who's 10 years younger than me. She'll be 25 in October. And this was her first time listening to not only a Nas album, but any type of actual lyrical artist. And she rated this album a 10 out of 10. She said that that's how hard it. She said that this album was so good to her that it made her start seeking out other lyrical artists rather than just vibe music.
Wow.
That's insane.
To me, if I were Nas, that would be my "Mama, I made it" moment to hear that.
Yeah. And so like me and her doing this video, and like while she's saying this, and she's like, and so like I asked her, I'm like, well, what did you know about Nas before? She said, I have never listened to a Nas album. I can't even remember a track that I listened to with Nas on it. But after this, she's dug through the crates. She's listened to Nas music, and now it's made her. And I even asked her, I said, okay, so has this changed now? You going back and listening to the vibe music? And she's like, honestly, yes. Now I'm looking for artists who have more of a message and more shit and more of something to say. That to me just spoke to how amazing and ageless and classic this album is. Baylor said it was an instant classic, and I don't give that away very easily, but I agree with that whole fucking heartedly. This is one of those albums when after you listen to it, you can't help but to go back and want to listen to it again. I listened to this album 2 times and then went back and played King Disease 1 and listened to this all through, like straight through both albums. And when I say this is probably one of the best 1-2 punches as far as a back-to-back releases since DMX, and I hold that, and that I mean that wholeheartedly.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I would say it's better than DMX's back-to-back punch.
I'm not.
I know what you're saying.
I only didn't want to get into the conversation of which one was actually better. I'm just saying since then, this is the only thing that I could think about in albums that were released this close one after another. And it's funny because Marquis, when we talked about this being announced, you had mentioned like you hope that it's not just leftovers from King's Disease 1. And first 2 tracks in, you in for something completely fucking different.
He switched the beat twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo.
Man,
when I heard this, okay. And again, it's 3:00 in the morning in London right now. I'm on this fucking show to review this album. I'm probably the most critical of Nas because I have higher expectations of him, and he's cursed with the gift of having one of the greatest albums in hip hop history. And I mean, technically one of the greatest albums of all time, Illmatic. But this album, and I had this conversation with Mary earlier this week. I'm like, is this his best album? And I thought about that. Like, if Nas didn't have Illmatic, this might have been his best album because he basically came from an angle where no one expected.
Here's what I'll say, and honestly, like, I think let this album be around for 5 years, and let's have the conversation if Illmatic is actually Nas's best album.
Fair.
I'm okay with saying Illmatic is still the best right now, but it will always be one of the most important albums to hip hop history. Period.
And nothing can take away what Illmatic meant to the culture and it's a great album in its own right. But I think the ease, the confidence, and the I don't know how I want to word it. The experience of Nas on this album may, and I need years to sit this. This is not anything I can answer now. May put this above Illmatic for me.
Yeah.
Given some time.
And it's looking
he's
headed that way.
Yeah.
Experience is a great word to use because it definitely felt like he was a veteran. Like it felt like he just glided through. And even like we pointed out before, even the features, it just all felt like it flowed and it was really like from a place of experience. And, everyone, I felt like because Nas is known for having something to say, I felt like all the features made sure they came with what they had to say for real too. Like even with Lauren got me when she was saying how she's out here saving souls, but motherfuckers want to complain about her lateness. I was like, oh shit. Like, I mean, it felt like people were really using the platform
because you always late.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't apologize for it. So anyway, I would beat you here today. So
yo, I gotta jump back real quick. Illmatic was the first super produced album. If you have the best producers on the planet at the time, Pete Rock, Q-Tip, Premier, and you basically said we're gonna create this project. We need the best lyrical assassin on the planet to tie all this in. That's what that is. It's a prototype for the first super produced album. This album felt like Hit Boy has been the one problem addressed that we've always had with Nas. Everyone always said your production, something about his production, it just doesn't come to light. With him and LES and everything, he always has some great songs. He comes with Cherry Wine and stuff like with Amy Winehouse. But for some reason, Hit Boy just happens to match him perfectly. He knows how to take that old jazzy flow, that monotone sound, and then he drops that second beat on you that just switches everything up. Like, nah, don't get comfortable. Like, this is who Nas is. You motherfuckers didn't even know this is the greatest rapper alive. This is your favorite rapper's favorite rapper and his favorite rapper's favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't do wrong. And this album showed it. And I think, Hayes, you said it perfectly when we messaged. The last album was for us. This album was for him. Like, no holds barred. Like, this motherfucker came in like, I'm comfortable. I've invested in the IPOs. I did what I needed to do. I made money. It's nothing to me. Like, you can't be afraid to take risks. And here's one of them. When he dropped it 9 months later from his Grammy award-winning album, he had nothing to lose, and it was better than the last one. How does that happen? So I'm going to say it again. Nas is the greatest rapper of all time. Sorry. Fuck it.
But I think you just discovered how it happened in this sentence, right? Like, when you have nothing to lose,
there's no pressure.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's when you do.
He took the time to craft it. Like, before King's Disease 1, the last full Nas album was Nasir, which we all know what happened with Nasir. He dropped Lost Tapes. It brought back that feeling of Nas. Like, it wasn't a classic or anything, but it brought back like classic Nas. Let's take the expectations out of it. He linked up with Hit Boy, and there is something special about every rapper, every great rapper has a certain synergy with a producer. You can almost mark it down for any rapper and a producer who they work with. Very rarely do we get full albums from them. The fact that we get two from Hit Boy and Nas, when they have such a synergy, is something that we may never see again because you don't typically see it. It's usually politics or something that get in the way of somebody fully producing somebody an artist's album from start to finish when they have this level of synergy, and that's what makes this feel special. Go ahead, Marquis.
We almost had it. We almost had it with Kanye and Common.
Say that though.
Yeah.
We almost had it with Kanye and Common.
Yeah.
It's just, like, that was Common's best album. B was Common's best album. That was flawless.
By far.
The follow-up to that album was there. Yeah. It's just I don't know what was missing from that album. I don't know if Kanye was busy or more in demand or whatever, but the follow-up to the album wasn't as great. But this, I've never seen someone bring out the best of Nas like Hit Boy did. Like, he was meant to be, like how Redman was meant to meet Meth, he was meant to meet Hit Boy. So I don't know how he chose this rapper.
That is a great fucking point. That is an amazing point. So
flawless to me, flawless. I don't ever remember listening to an album this much and speaking about it. And now again, it's not even just a hip hop album. It's not even just focused on hip hop. No. This to me is one of the best albums musically. Period.
So you guys know I'm growing my vinyl collection, and I've spoke about it. Like, I'm only classic albums to me do I get on vinyl or something that speaks to me. I've ordered this on vinyl. I got one that I'm not opening, and I'm doing one that I'm listening to because I feel like that's how classic this fucking album is.
The last album that I talked about like this or similar to it or maybe close to it was To Pimp a Butterfly. So I'll go back that far. But this King Disease 2 is definitely mac and cheese. I'll give King Disease 1 yams. And Illmatic could be the chicken.
Okay, that's fair. Amazing album. Let's move on. I had put this Tory Lanez Diss to Cassidy on here, but we have such a great feeling with just hip hop right now. Do you guys want to talk about it? Because if not
really, but it wasn't bad though. I ain't gonna lie.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. I'll give him that. It wasn't bad, but I don't even like King's Disease is such a great album that I feel like it's disrespectful to talk about any music after speaking about King's Disease. So fuck it.
Well,
We
I
can go.
mean, hey,
Agreed.
I gotta salute New York because y'all had back to back. I can't speak for the Knicks. I don't know what the fuck they really did, but
Hey, they
between
came as
Nas,
close as they've come in a long time. We're proud of the Knicks.
I don't know if you want to hang your hat on that one, but what y'all just went through as far as the locks and Nas, yeah, I don't know if y'all want to. Let's go for that. Go for that back to back. Go for that back to back.
All right, all right. We got Black People Like Rock too. This is a segment presented 100% by Marquis. Marquis, what's going on with Black People Like Rock too this week?
Yo, I just gotta ask. Nas, and just to stick on that, he made a comment, compared me to Mick Jagger and Bono. Can we? Can you put him in the category of Mick Jagger and Bono?
Yeah,
I can't say much. I can't say much about it, but if we're assuming like their stature, if we actually judge hip hop that way, then yeah, but we don't.
yeah. I think that's an easy yes.
Him? What do you think?
I mean, do you need to ask me? You
Listen,
already
you
know
got to
how
take
I
personal
regard
aside.
him.
Take personal aside. Just yeah, we celebrate who he is, in the culture, but when it comes to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and when you hear names like Moves like Jagger, and you hear Bono from U2, and of course you're gonna hear Jay-Z because of his accomplishments, but you don't hear Nas like that. That's that little known secret that this generation doesn't really know. Can he be mentioned
Of
with the
course.
likes of
I
not
think
to just
so.
hip hop, but I'm just saying that's what I'm saying. I just hope that he's recognized as not just the greatest lyricist of all time, but one of the greatest musicians of all time.
Well,
He
what makes
should.
me question that is the story Hayes told us before about his sister, who basically didn't really know Nas's music until this album. So I don't know. I personally feel like awards and award shows are bullshit, but that's just me.
So does
So
Nas. So does Nas.
right. This is, we hear Nas, we hear. But but yeah, I mean, I think he deserves to be there, but it's like who really is the judge? And what are the criteria? I feel like we've had this conversation before many times.
The
I mean,
people that's supposed to be the judges never the judges.
That
it's
too,
difficult.
exactly.
It's difficult to compare different genres like that because like with rock and roll, right? It as much as it's about the music, it's also very much about the performances, the live performances, what they do as a band, and like with with hip hop. Yes, we appreciate great live performances, but it's not always like that. Doesn't play as big of a part in what makes a classic artist in hip hop to me. Um, but as a Nas isn't a musician. He's an MC, and I think that makes the difference there. Bono is a fucking musician.
I
Mick
disagree with
Jagger is
that.
a musician.
I disagree with that. Nas is a musician. If you listen to his flow, his style, his staccato, the way he rides certain beat, he's an instrument. If you take away the lyrics and you listen to it from a perspective where you're focused on the beat and how
Right.
he
Melodic.
flows over,
Yeah.
he's a musician. The same reason like Black Thought, I guess you kind of can, and I think I brought this up with Tool. If you take away the lyrics and the vote, you just focus on the vocals. He's an instrument, and Nas is one of the greatest instruments because he took it from his father, Oludara, from that jazz type of thing. And Biggie did the same thing from that whole jazz staccato and everything. He's an instrument. A lot of rappers can say that they can complement music the way they can. If you put a live band, and he did this, he did with Illmatic, he had the orchestra behind him. The sound was brilliant. Like if you take that music and you bring it to life, the reason I agree that he is in that caliber, because you can't mention hip hop without mentioning Nas, and you can't mention music without mentioning hip hop. You know what I mean? Like you can say that you have all these other artists. You can't say Jay is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? LL, I'm bad. Like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's compared to those people because he was in Chuck D, a revolutionary. At the end of the day, he's still you want to say a rock star with Zach De La Rocha and Rage Against the Machine. Nas is borderline a rock star, and the only reason that everything that held him back was that he didn't have the popular features or the greatest musicians or production behind him. But he was Amy Winehouse's favorite artist, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like he's a musician, and they respected each other from their blues and jazz orientation. So the only reason I say that and I bring that up is because, like Hendrix and the rest of them, he was that respected dude. He was that one person that you can pick out of a crowd and say, that's a musician. That's a true musician who studied the arts of hip hop, jazz, and blues, and he incorporated a lot of his style into it and philosophy. That's my take on it.
I mean, I get what you're saying with the whole Nas is, but he's not. I mean, like you can if that's the case that we're using, and like I said, I understand your point. Like I'm not saying that I don't understand. I just personally don't agree, but I can understand why you would come up with that get to that place. It's something different for me when we talk about like artists like Bono and Mick Jagger and you know other things, other artists like that. Like rock and roll is just a different beast in that way to me. But I agree and understand everything you said. Hip hop is the backbone of music. Black people are the backbone of music. You can't mention Nas without when you're mentioning or talking about hip hop. But it's just I just don't get to that place with that. I don't get to it, but I can understand why you do.
Fair enough.
Well, I also feel like each one of those rock artists kind of brought something different to the genre themselves. Like you said before, moves like Jagger. That's what he was known for. So who would be known for like the moves of hip hop, right? Like it's like I think that's an exercise we could do another day, where we kind of,
sure.
you know.
I know. I think after Helter Skelter, when it was like, first, something happened when rappers weren't making sense. And then all of a sudden, rappers started making sense. And it happened because Nas. Like, rappers weren't making sense. Everything was cool. 1, 2, let's, boom, bap, whatever. But when that motherfucker, after Rakim, he came back on the stage, like, motherfuckers started paying attention to lyrics.
I think also you have to mention, like, just how far Nas goes back into hip hop. Sometimes we forget that. Like the 4 decades thing is fucking real. Like when you
that's serious.
Hip hop is only what 60 years old.
48 yesterday.
48. So for Nas to go back into hip hop as far, he is literally basically
91
at the point at the beginning of hip hop. There was almost Nas. Like so when you think about all that, you have to include him. Bailey, you've been quiet there for a minute. What are you thinking about over there?
No, I was thinking about when she said 48, like, yo, I'm really 10 years less than hip hop. Older, 10 years younger than hip hop. That's crazy.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's depressing. Let's move on.
No, I mean, no, actually, to me, that's dope news to me.
Well, we can say that we literally grew up with hip hop. Like, I don't remember there being no hip hop. You know what I mean?
That's where I get from it. And the reason why that kind of stunned me is because we had like a debate in Clubhouse today, and it really like I went on mute because I'm like I can't argue with cats. And I caught myself because I said I can't argue with younger cats, right? But then there were actually younger cats that got it. And what I mean by younger cats, meaning like even people as young as 33. You know what I mean? But cats was telling me that they was like very disrespectful to LL. You know what I mean?
All right,
like,
we're moving on
no,
because I don't want to have to fight.
You know we can't talk about that.
I know. And I was in there defending it, but I was just thinking like, yo, a lot of people just don't understand the history of hip hop and the cats that really meant something to it. So I just left it at that. I didn't even argue it.
But I know how you feel. And it's a disheartening feeling. It's almost like, I don't know. I've definitely had feelings where I'm like, I don't belong in the world anymore. If like grown adults don't know these songs or these references or, it's like really upsetting. But
ain't it crazy that this is the only genre that matters? Like, think about it. Yeah. Nobody talks about any other genre to know your history other than hip hop. Like,
right.
Well, like soul and jazz definitely have a history too.
They do,
but those are the origins
no one
of hip hop, if you really think about it. So
Yeah, no one challenges your card, other than hip hop. Like you get your shit taken away. You don't understand the roots of hip hop. Like soul
Well, that's
jazz, you can kind of
also,
get a pass.
but that's also due to the nature of like the character of hip hop. It's like it's competitive and it'll fuck your ass up if you are faking jazz. So
To my
yeah,
point, think
yeah.
about the respect that it deserves. You know what I mean? Like you actually have to have these conversations, know your
That's a fact.
shit before you come
That's a fact.
to a clubhouse conversation and say
No,
some
but
shit.
Well,
but
apparently you
these
don't
cats,
have to. That's the problem.
man, these cats. When I tell you these cats do not care about history because they, that's just,
Listen, that Drake just label them Drake fans. These it's like Drake doing what he did, introduce people who feel like they can have hip hop
I leave it
conversation
alone,
without
man.
knowing what the fuck they're talking about.
I leave it
Period.
alone.
All right. So we Baylor
Two.
has to leave soon. So we're gonna end on the last two topics. First up, yeah, Raising Kanan. We've been doing
Dude, I
reviews
am
of
so
Raising
far
Kanan.
behind. I've been
Hey, Mark, did you
so
get caught up?
gone.
Bro, it's you're traveling overseas. You're an international Negro. I understand. Mary, Baylor,
Yes.
Yep.
are you guys all up on Raising Kanan? Mary,
Well, I hope this week it's gonna go somewhere because
thank you. It feels like it's just spinning its like the first two episodes were great.
Yes.
Now it just feels like it's just spinning
And
its
listen,
wheels in place.
I-
Like, let's get somewhere.
I, as
Let's
a New
get
Yorker, you know what I mean? Like, enjoy the nostalgia of seeing 90s New York, and the soundtrack is dope and all that. But yeah, storyline wise, now it's starting to feel like, are we going to shit or get off the pot here? So I mean, I saw the preview for this week's episode. It looks like some shit's going to go down. Somebody's got to die. This is like not, this is not real power if the bodies don't start hitting
the bodies hit the floor.
yeah, so I'm not to say I'm looking forward to people dying, but you know, someone needs to in
I'm
order
looking
to
forward to
keep
people
this
dying.
storyline rolling.
Now,
Mary's
Mary,
back to
by
killing
by,
motherfuckers.
but
She's
look,
back
so
to
Mary,
killing
by you,
people.
by what you mean by somebody needs to die, you mean somebody with a name, right?
With a name, what does that mean?
You meaning
Say
like
more.
not one of the goons on the side or anything like that.
We need a main character. You know who I
Exactly.
think is gonna die? Well,
Like the
wait, we
brother?
forgot D Wiz died.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Okay, which was trife. That was crazy. I wonder if it's gonna come out how he ended up dying. But I think Famous is gonna be the next to go.
Really?
I like that. That'll mean something.
Right?
Damn.
Yeah.
And you know who gonna do it too.
Well, and that's the thing that sucks about like this being a prequel, because if it wasn't for us knowing where the storyline would go, I would think that Jukebox would be the one to die before the end of the season. But we know that can't happen.
Yeah.
To motivate Kanan, but we know that can't happen. So it's like,
although her little storyline is also a little crazy. Like, what is the purpose of this?
It's to get
like,
it's to get LGBTQ TQ representation on the screen. But
and listen, I'm all for that. I am,
Yeah.
but it just is feeling like a distraction. Like, I want to get back to the business. Like, unless this is something to do with the main storyline, like, no more. And then, what's up with Uncle?
Yo, he gotta chill. He gotta chill.
Wait, which uncle you talking about?
The nigga that eat too much.
Yes.
The one that's banging the white chick?
Yes.
Yes.
And then how he just take the dog back.
That nigga took the dog back so quick.
He just treated her bad.
Look, first of all, the fact of when she tried to cuddle with him, that motherfucker looked at her like you would think that like, I don't even know.
He said, "What you doing? What are you doing?"
And she was like, "I've had other black guys that cuddled," and she's like, "Bitch, not like me."
Like, bitch, what they got to do with me? You know what? Matter of fact, just because you said that, I'm taking this motherfucking dog with me too. Fuck you. Man.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
They can't kill him because he's the comic relief. Although I thought that he was gonna die when he rolled up to the crib when they were rolling on Kanan, but or at least get shot. Something. What's going on?
Like everybody gonna get shot.
She said, "Mary just wants somebody to get hit." That's it.
But every TV show has those middle episodes that it kind of it's just there, and it sucks that we got there after two amazing episodes back to back to me in episode 1 and 2, and now it's just something needs to happen. We get these characters, we know the characters, we get the stakes. Now we need some shit to start happening. I won't necessarily say
I think
need to start hitting in the floor, but shit needs.
I
to
think
start
it was a
happening.
good filler though. I thought it was a good filler though, because Mom found a shirt, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Found a shirt.
The woman playing his mama is fine as fuck.
All right.
But she's a boss though. She's a boss.
Yes.
You know, Uncle is tripping right now.
And then what about Symphony? We think he's gonna die? Or he's gonna like save Kanan's life or something, and like then
the thing is that if like they've added so much of 50 Cent's actual life into it, if it follows that, we know his mama has to die at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
And didn't she turn into a lesbian in real life too?
I don't. Yeah, in real life, I don't know if they add that into the story or not. That's what Jukebox is there for. So.
Right.
Her and Jay's mom turned into lesbian.
Huh?
Her and Jay's mom turned to lesbian.
We're talking about 50 Cent's mom.
I know, but Jay's mom's a lesbian too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was revealed in 444. He had a song about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't try to distract us, Marquis, since you didn't watch the damn show.
It seemed like I got excited about it, so.
Yeah. All right, last topic for today. There's a documentary coming about Rick James, Bitchin', The Sound and Fury. The trailer's been dropped. Did you listen? I love documentaries, but I especially love documentaries when it comes to somebody's life who we know lived a full fucking life. The stories we're gonna get on this documentary, I can't wait for. The music, everything. Like, I can't wait to see that Rick James created some of his best songs when he was on a coke bender. I can't wait to see the stories. You know what's gonna happen. Marquis, since you didn't get to talk much in the last one. Yeah, you sound like a Decepticon, bro. We didn't hear none of that shit.
I was like, is he singing?
All right, so we're gonna skip Marquis. Baylor, what do you make of the Rick James documentary?
I'm not watching that unless I take an edible.
I mean,
I got to.
I mean, what do you watch without an edible?
You may need to do a line and to watch.
I'm scared though.
He said, "I'm scared."
Oh man, no! You want to talk about influence? You're gonna have all of us walking around talking about I'm Rick James, bitch.
But see, that's the funny thing. Like, people who know him from that, like, and that's all they really know. I really can't wait to see some of them see this documentary, because people really do forget that Rick James at one point was one of the biggest artists in the world.
Yeah.
Mary, what do you think?
Introduce it or something with his Rick James bitch impression. But yeah, I mean, I'm hyped, not to derail us, but I'm hyped for something coming sooner, which is Aretha. We're gonna have to review
have you
that.
seen the reviews for that? They're terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
but also the family was like against it or some shit, so I think they planted. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Marquis. You could talk about Rick James, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm sorry. I guess you all know how I feel about artists when it comes to hip hop and rock and everything. He's a fucking rock legend. No matter what the fuck he's a fucking rock legend. He doesn't get his flowers because the generation doesn't appreciate him for how masterful he was. Like, Super Freak alone. And of course it became a Hammer song and everything, but Super Freak, the music he created is fucking legendary. So I'm dying to see this documentary. A rock star deserves, especially when he goes on a binge of cocaine and creating the shit he did. Yeah, I'm in for it.
Definitely. And Baylor said he has to do edible to watch this. I'm definitely doing one, if not a few, because like I just may grab a handful to get as close to Rick James high as possible to watch this.
I feel like the ghost of Rick James gonna come down. There you go. That's how you do it.
Exactly. No, he'll probably be looking like, bitch, I did a kilo of crack in one night. What the fuck is
what the fuck is these gummies? fuck is
Your
this?
nose don't burn doing gummies, you bitch. Like it's gonna be some shit like that.
You smoke crack, don't you?
Oh, what? Don't you? Lean on me.
Oh man. Oh man, I can't wait to watch this documentary. But that's it. That's been the episode of the Breaks Radio. We want to get Baylor out of here on time. Go ahead and give him your social
Wait a
media.
second. Weren't we supposed to talk about Zola? Did y'all not
But
watch
I mean,
it?
we got so much like that would literally take another 20
I
minutes.
know.
And Baylor
So
has to be
next
gone
week.
in 13. Next week we'll talk about Zola. Yeah, next week, and
Okay.
also Wu Tang, American Story coming back. We got all that on the docket for next week.
Okay.
All
I
right.
love when you guys got it.
Mary, go ahead and give him your social media. Let's get the hell up out of here.
I'm gonna do it mad slow now, just because. No, I'm kidding. I'm at Miss Mary Almonte on all social platforms and at Young Urban Moms and a bunch of other shit that I'll talk about next week because Baylor gotta go. Bye.
At Baylorism on Twitter. What's the other one? At Baylor the Great on all other social media platforms. And yeah, that's it. Donda, Kanye, I know you listen. Boy, that TikTok video coming soon, my brother. It's coming.
Wait, real quick. I have a dad joke for Donda. It's not mine, but I saw it and I feel like it fit very well. So somebody on Twitter said they should call the album Donde because where's it at? Instead of Donda. Carry on.
Marquis.
I ain't following that shit.
Go ahead.
Go listen to Nas' album. I'm good.
That's what it boils down to. You can follow me at CEO Hayes, that's CEO HAIZE. You can follow us collectively at The Breaks Radio. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, thebreaksradio@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to send us a voicemail, you can do so at 614-547-2039. If I have any parting words, I got to double down on what Marquis said. Go listen to King's Disease 1 and 2, but specifically 2, and appreciate the genius that Nas is. We are the #1 podcast for the culture, and this week, we out this bitch.
Yo,
Yeah.
the cure
Yo, and go
for
tell
King's disease is the Queen's legend.
Yeah. Somebody go tell K Dot to hit up Hit Boy. I need that.